one at a time. You have a really, my initial reaction when I look at this delivery is from watching you jump and see how athletic you were jumping up and jumping out. Your delivery, you look like just a tight coil that like just, you just need to let it happen better. You know what I mean? You need to just loosen up a little bit, in general. But the first thing we're going to talk about is your forearm position in this takeaway phase. As you come here, okay, you have, this looks like Kolofsky, right? So when you bring your arm away from your hand, it's actually the same issue that Nolan had. Turn that on. So it's the same issue that Nolan had. You bring your arm, well, let's watch the video first. When you bring your arm out of your glove, okay, there's two types of people. Some that bring their arm straight up and some that bring their arm out like that, okay? You have a long arm swing, that's probably what 75% of everybody has, okay? We try to encourage shortening that arm up a little bit, okay? For various reasons, and one of them being scap load, which you have zero of almost, okay? That is not, right there, that is not a scap load, okay? That is T-spine extension. That's this. Okay. That's not this. That's not this. It's this. You're doing this, okay? Which is okay, doing it a little excessively because you're not doing this, but what it's going to do is it's going to cause a lot of strain in your lower back. Okay. Because, do you ever have back pain when you throw?
I get the after.
You do, yeah. Okay. Because I can see right now that your back is incredibly arched. Right there, okay? And when you land with an arched back like that, bang, like that, okay, that's gonna really hit your discs. So the one thing you wanna start doing is you wanna use a more pronated grip so you can scap load it a little bit better. Mike, show them like you showed.
So coming down out of your out of handbrake, and coming down, if you have a long arm swing, what you want to do is instead of you're coming a little bit like this. You can see the ball here. When you're breaking your hands, you want to start pronating and showing the back of your hand to the camera. So like this view, we want to see the back of your hand coming through. When you do that, and you pronate your wrist and your forearm. When you come back, you can much easily get into a scap load. And then come up
feel the difference?
And go from there.
Turn that in. Turn that palm in. Yeah. Don't think out, think back.
You're elbowing somebody behind you.
Stand up and try.
Elbow somebody behind you.
Like you're elbowing somebody behind you.
Gonna come down and
Back. Okay? And then you scap load much better. Like that. Okay? You feel the difference? Yeah. What you're doing when you look at this video is you are putting your arm in a really, really tight and poor position to see where that arm ends up. Like you're in such T-spine extension right now that your arm is like behind you, and that's from doing this. You're here and then you're doing this. Okay, I mean your back is arched, and this is just not a great position to throw a baseball with. Okay, so number one is how you take the ball out of your, and then what ends up happening is at foot plant, you have very little scap retraction, as you can see there. Once again, it looks like you're retracting your scaps, but you're not, because your glove side pull hasn't even pulled yet. Okay, so you're not getting any retraction on this side. And this side, we already know, you're completely arched in your back, so you have none on this side. So you're not getting any elastic power out of your scap load to bring it back. Okay? And what that causes is it causes an elbow climb when you throw now. So you're in such a weird position at this point, you've got to start to get rid of this ball, that you come elbow first. See that? So what that causes is a really high arm, okay? And it can put a lot of strain on your shoulder, on your lat, on your lower back, on your elbow, everything. Okay? So you need to get into a better position here, okay? Where you're not so far behind the 8-ball that now you're in a hurry to throw this ball, and you can't actually even begin to rotate. You just go straight up in the elbow. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So, because you don't scap load, we're going to talk about your rotation, your torso rotation. So, when I come down the mound, okay, as I start to come forward with my hip and I start to turn these hips, now I start to load my scap. What happens to my chest?
It turns away.
It goes this way, right? So now I'm creating hip and shoulder separation, and I'm creating it late. We don't need a ton of hip and shoulder separation. We need it to happen late at foot strike.
Okay.
So it doesn't happen at foot strike if you wind up here, okay, and you don't load. If you don't load your scap, you just come around.
Mm-hmm.
If you load your scap, you don't come around. It locks you out, okay? So that's one thing we're going to see right now. Because you're not loading your scap, as you come down, by the time you hit foot strike, you are like really around. That's 70 degrees. We're looking for like 0. We'd still like see where his chest is? You see the difference?
Yeah.
Your hips and your shoulders are basically at the same spot. His belt buckle is like going this way, and his chest is still going this way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that X factor stretch. You don't have an X factor stretch. And it's because when you're loading here and you're coming down the mound, your chest is not going the other way as your hips come this way. It goes with it. You see?
Mm-hmm.
See how it's going with it? If you watch him, as he loads and he turns his hips, he keeps his chest back. See how his chest is staying back as he's moving forward with his hips? It's because look at his scapula, look at his elbow, it's back. And then he just brings the arm up. It's like a really small movement, okay? You're coming out and in a bad position right there, okay? So, one more thing, as far as your linear momentum, you're hanging back. So, you see how you're staying back into this back foot? You see how we call it a fake glute load. It looks like you're loading your glute, but all you're really doing is you're creating a heavy counterbalance to be able to put this foot down.
Okay.
And what's happening is you're doing this. It's like you're hanging onto a swimming pool and you're checking to see how cold the water is.
Mm-hmm.
You should be actually landing into this foot.
Okay.
You understand? Like that, right? You're doing this.
It's almost like I'm just placing it instead
You're
of
placing your foot down and you're getting no force from the ground
Mhm.
because you're not hitting the ground. You're touching the ground. You'll see when you do it. Watch your front foot. See how you did that? You put
Yeah.
that toe first. Watch him. He's going to land like a helicopter, straight flat down. Watch his foot. See that?
Mhm.
That's because he lands. You don't want to land like a tiptoe, or you don't want to land like a jet, really. You want to land like a helicopter. So it just, and the crash test dummies go flying like I told Nolan. You want to hit the wall hard and stop fast. You're not stopping fast because at this point your foot's on the ground and almost at foot plant. You haven't even begun to bring the center of mass into that leg because you've been up to this point. You've been all the way back here. Okay, watch Granke's center of mass. As he comes down, his whole body comes down. See how he's coming down straight down?
Mhm.
As you come down, you stay back. You see the difference?
Mhm.
Let's look at that and that. Which one looks like a more athletic throw that's getting ready to land really hard?
Thank you.
Right. There's no way that you're going to get as much force into that throw as you put in it when you hit the ground. And you're not going to hit the ground very hard with staying back like that. So we got to give you drills that make you drift and get your center of mass coming down the ground. So when you hit, you're either straight or slightly back, okay? And you're hitting the ground flat-footed. Rocker drill for him is key because it'll put him in a good landing position, and then he just picks it up and puts it down. We're not going to talk about lateral front trunk tilt because if we fix the other things, your trunk tilt will go away as well. But just to show you, that's a huge tilt. This tilt right here, this angle that you're at is huge. Okay?
Are you talking about the head
I'm
and the
talking
torso?
about- I'm talking about
Okay. Because Granke's head's not tilted. is
well,
that-
everybody's tilted a little bit generally. That's a normal tilt right there. Okay, it's tilted because he's but he's not really. I gotta move it over to get it right. I'm sorry, but if you want to like really see what I'm talking about, he's like at 18 degrees, right? He's at 43. You see the difference? What you're looking for here is no more than a 1.5 head width from center of your leg to your head. He's like a half a head. If I drew a line right now up the center of the inside of your leg, right here, he's like 3/4 of a head away. You are like 2.5 heads away. Okay, that's just that you're trying to get this 90-degree angle. So because you have a long arm path and a high elbow, you get this way because the body is going to do whatever it has to do to try to maintain this angle. Okay, so you're kind of like changing basically as you pull. You're changing your perception of what feels right here, and it's going to always be, if you're long, you're going to go this way, okay? So that's what causes a lateral trunk tilt.
You hit a lot of righty batters. You miss
No.
really far outside the righties.
Yeah, I miss like almost in his
You're
batter.
so tilted this way. If you're late with the ball coming out of your hand, you're so far this way, the ball's just going to pop out way behind your head.
Yeah,
and just
behind
sail
offside.
forward outside the righties.
So the last thing is actually two of the exact same things that Nolan has. So one of the thing is your lead leg foot position at foot plant, okay? You actually are super you swing like a gate, like way open almost, okay? And it puts your foot, this foot right here, and your knee and your leg, you're in a really hard position to actually stabilize that force, okay?
Okay.
You understand? So that's because of your stability at foot plant. When you land, look at your foot. Watch what your foot does when you land.
Like how it buckles back over.
Look at it. It buckles out, like we showed Granke before. See how your foot, when you land, it buckles out? His actually buckles in. Because he's actually using his adductors and he's pulling his hip around. You're hitting the wall, you're like a bicycle hitting a curb, and you fly over. You don't actually continue to rotate. So what happens is you won't get out in front as much, and you're going to you release your ball early because you don't get that extra time to actually get in front. And hip IR, insufficient right leg hip IR, okay? So you don't have the hip internal rotation. Same as Nolan, he had opposite side. His front leg, hip IR, didn't have it. So he kind of doesn't rotate either, okay? So it affects the stability of this leg as it goes, as it moves. You slam shut, you fly over. You see how you're flying over?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you run out of space right here, okay? Your brain is going to tell your body, we ain't got this anymore. And you're going to tell you to let go of that ball, okay? If you continue to rotate, you wouldn't have let go of that ball already. Look where you're let go. Look where your release point is.
Yeah.
Okay? Because what happens is you slam shut right here, and your body goes, and it just lets go of the ball. It's time to let go of the ball. You're ready to. You're done. If you weren't done, you'd let go of the ball here, and you would get much more time on your ball. You would get much more vertical break because you can come down on your ball, your curve ball, right? So, if you release the ball up here, all your spin is coming off your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get more hip IR and get out front, now all your spin, you can come down on that ball, and you can get much more spin on the ball and a much better vertical drop.
Okay.
We did it with what's his name?
Matt
Matt Garrett. Guy had no drop on his curveball. Big, strong guy. His coach actually started telling him, "Don't even throw a curve." You know, I'd be interested on Bpereb to see what the curve was. So, anyway, jumping off the back foot. Last thing. So, your foot's off the ground, okay? Your leg is completely, one way I know for you, for sure that you're vaulting, is your leg is completely extended already. At the time of foot strike, you should have a slightly bent leg still, okay? Your leg is completely straight and you haven't even hit the ground yet. So he's like jumping. So where is all your force going right now when you're pushing? Anybody got an idea? It's going up, okay? Where do we want the force to be going?
Forward.
That way, right? So when you vault and you jump off the mound and you push early, the initial thing you start to do is you start to push kind of up, okay? Instead of here and pushing out.
Okay.
That's where you want the force, you want to generate your force, okay? This creates more of a vertical direction. This creates more of force going linearly, okay? And that's what we want. And that's by staying on into your glute more. And that's by staying on your foot flatter. So we're going to give you drills. You're going to have a step behind drill that's going to help you stay into this foot longer. And we're going to have you try to keep your chest that way as long as possible as you turn around. So it's going to help us work on your hip and shoulder separation. I didn't know if you were doing the throwing program, but I got to give Ari your correctives because I have your correctives here. If you are doing the throwing program, it's the same price.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So there's your correctives right there.
Why don't you stand up right now? So straighten out your leg like this,
My back one?
your back leg, and try to rotate your hips all the way through. Is that as far as you can go?
Yeah.
Okay. Now bend your leg a little bit. See how far you
See?
see how much room you can get around. So vaulting out, keeping that leg straight will prevent you from really rotating your hips efficiently, and it will also make you release the ball a little higher and not going all the way through. You're not getting that post up that he was talking about, getting all the way through. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So the thing we're going to work on is we're going to work on this handbrake, okay? Pronating more and trying to shorten up your arm a little bit with a drill.
Okay.
That will help you scap load, okay? That will help you keep your body closer to your body so we don't start getting this. And if we don't get this, we won't get this high elbow climb. And also if we scap load as we load our hips, we'll get hip shoulder separation and you won't be coming around all the front time. And then we're going to work on a drill to actually work on your landing, your rocker drill. Put your foot in a better position, maybe a little bit more closed, not so open, and not so straight. You're landing like this. It's really hard to dissipate force when your knee is like this. If you just close it up a little bit, I can really stop a lot better. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like wide open. You know what I mean? You're wide open, but your hips are not. Your leg is wide open, but your hips are closed because you're straight and you're throwing like this.
Okay.
And that's what we gotta fix.